Okay, let's take a look at the variable growth model, a way to value stock. And we'll play from the start here. And okay, this is the variable growth model. The purpose of this slide set is to estimate the value of a stock given the dividend growth rate is expected to change once over time. For instance, the dividend is expected to increase by 1% per year during the next 2 years and then increase by 3% per year after that. Perhaps the reason for this is there's a decrease in earnings expected due to lackluster sales, which are going to be corrected in about a 2-year period. So here's the given information for the problem that I have here. A firm's dividend this year is $2. Perhaps historically, this firm has increased its dividend by 3% per year on average. We might get like 50 years of past data if the company's been around that long. And on average, its dividend has bumped up by about 3% per year, giving stockholders the sense of a raise. During the next 2 years, however, this dividend is expected to rise by 6% per year due to a hot new product which is about to be released. After 2 years, we expect competitors will offer close substitutes for our new product. Therefore, starting in year 3 and continuing on for the foreseeable future, we expect the dividend growth rate will return to 3%. The required return on the stock is 9%. In other words, that's what we feel is a fair return based on the riskiness of the firm. That we feel that's an appropriate return for the stock. We want the stock to be priced to yield 9% annual return to a person who buys it today. So, D0 is $2. That's the dividend this year. We expect it to rise by 6% over the next 2 years, 6% per year over the next 2 years. Then starting in year 3, we expect the dividend growth rate to settle back down at 3% and stay there forever. The required return on the stock, again, is 9%. So we're going to solve for PO, which is our estimate of what the value of the stock is today, the stock price today. So we're going to first estimate the first 3 dividends. The dividend this year is $2, so I estimate that next year it'll be $2.12. The year after that, I estimate that it'll be $2.25. I'm going out 4 decimal places. So notice I use a growth rate of 6% for the first 2 years, but now remember, in year 3, it's going to go back to 3%. So I take the year 2 dividend that I just estimated and multiply it by 1.03. Now I have the 3 dividends stretched out over time. Notice in the third year, that dividend growth rate is now constant. It's expected to remain there for the foreseeable future. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the present value of the dividends that are expected over the next, from now all the way through year infinity. So the present value of dividend 1, giving a 9% required return, is $1.95. The present value of dividend 2 is $1.89. Well, that makes sense. If we're increasing the dividend those 2 years at 6%, but we're discounting at 9%, it makes sense that the present value of dividend 2 is a little less than the present value of dividend 1. Now, what we're going to do next is we in year 3, we actually have a dividend growth rate that's expected to be constant. So we could use this model that we saw before that I have written up here. This will value a dividend that's expected to grow at a constant rate, which we do have as of year 3. We have a constant dividend starting in year 3. Notice the model, PO equals D1. So the price of the stock now relies on the dividend next year. So if I use that model here, I'm given D3, so I could figure out, I better back up a year and figure out the price of the stock in year 2. So that's what we'll do next. And so the price of the stock in year 2 equals the third year dividend divided by RS minus G. I'll plug in the numbers. I take $2.31 and some after that, and I divide by essentially 0.06 because 0.09 minus 0.03 is 0.06. And I get $38.58. Now, That's really two things. That could be called two things. One, it's in year 2, it's the present value of all future dividends. That's true. It's also, because of that, it's our estimate of what the price of the stock will be 2 years from today. So on an exam, it might ask you, in year 2, what's the present value of all future dividends? Well, that's the number, 38.58. Or it could ask you, what's our estimate of the price of the stock 2 years from today? It's the same number, 38.58. So now I want to acknowledge that just like dividend 2, that's sitting out in year 2, I want to bring that back to year 0, to the beginning, to right now. This is here, we're right now in time. So I'm going to divide that. This just like I did up here. This dividend's in year 2, this price is in year 2. So we're going to discount it the same way. I take 38.58, divide it by 1.09, having been raised to the second power, and you get $32.47. So now I have the present value of the first dividend, the present value of the second dividend, and the present value of the third through infinitieth dividend, all in year 0, in time 0. So I'm going to add those up, and that's our estimate of the price of the stock right now. We believe, based on this estimate, that this stock should be priced at $36.31. That's a fair price for the stock. In other words, if somebody buys the stock for that price and he or she collects these dividends, their annual return is 9% per year. This stock has now been priced to yield 9% per year to a person who buys it today. So the outcome, the overall outcome, is our estimate of the value of the stock today. That's our overall outcome of what we just did. So it's a way to estimate the value of a stock given you think the dividend's going to change once. Now, several questions, however, will be asked. Like, for instance, on my exam, you might see a question that says, okay, refer back to this variable growth stock that you just did all this work for, and asks you, maybe question 9 says, what's the dividend expected to be in year 2? Another question might say, what's the present value of the first dividend? So there's a second question. A third question might ask, 2 years from now, what's the present value of all expected future dividends? Well, that's this number, 38.58. Or it could ask you, another question could be, what do we think the price of the stock will be in 2 years? It's the same answer, 38.58. And then, of course, the final overall question here, like maybe it's question 21 on your exam, is what is this stock worth today? And it's worth $36.31. That's our estimate of the value of the stock today. This concludes this little short video. Thank you.